Do any of you remember the reason why we embarked on the journey? Shirley and Zeke are important companions. Alas, I am only a malfunctioning artificial intelligence machine servant. But if you may be of assistance in any way, please take me with you. Yeah, it all comes from the commission of Little Cute Mie. We promised to come back together. But so far it hasn't come true. Then let me tell you practical information. I found information about you in the Executor database, and the last record was 6 months ago when you and your squad disappeared during an operation. Elric, could this be the same thing that happened 6 months ago? Whether it's Executor Commander Clemma or Archon Elric mentioned 6 months ago. So what happened 6 months ago? Let's go back to 6 months ago. Frigg was summoned by the Sage. The scene here is Arniel Fortress. It is also the stronghold of the heirs of Ida in the Worn Snowfield. Why is it different from what we see in the game? Is it because this animation is still based on the previous material? But you can still see a lot of similarities from the scene elements. Pay attention to what the Sage says. Hykros has sent someone into quarantine. It is no coincidence that the protagonist went to the quarantine zone. It was a trap from the beginning. And I figured out what Hykros was looking for. This operation is very secretive. If you fail, the record will be erased. That's why the protagonist disappeared for half a year and no one was sent to find him or her. When the protagonist returns, we find that we have lost our memory. Naturally, we have no threat. I will find out the answer when the plot gets to the Worn Snowfield. Now still continue to analyze according to the plot flow. You can see the Tower of Fantasy at the plot transition here. The details of the Tower of Fantasy have always been done very well. But it's hard to find the details. Next comes the protagonist. Learn from the conversation between two people, the target signal is lost, I can't locate it. Hykros did send someone here to look for something. And it's a moving object. The two-headed dog appeared. This is what the Sage called the hound out of the cage. The protagonist wondered why the xenobiotic animal appeared here. Which means they're not looking for xenobiotic animals. The scene here is also modeled. In Bilibili, someone find it. Friends who are interested can search it. Next, we ran away from our companion. And picked up the EM blade, the weapon that runs through the game. But have you ever wondered why the EM blade is here? Is it really just a coincidence? There is a weapon in the unknown cave. And then put in all kinds of experiment animals. It always looks like a test. This mine was not mentioned in the intelligence. The protagonist said that the mine's here. It's not mentioned in the intelligence. She has fallen into the trap of the Sage here. The scene here. At first it was a spooky cave. But when it comes to where the aberrant appear, the wall becomes the unique material of the ruin. This kind of architectural style has been analyzed in TOF plot science. It is the unique building material of prehistoric civilization. We can see that this is also a ruin. And the aberrant are released from next door. There are also no time bars on the ground. You can also see the inner passage from the hole next to it. It means that all this is being manipulated. Repeated battles put our suppressors out of energy. Warning, suppressor energy low. Just when our suppressors have no power. Frigg just came to pick up us. Target has been captured. Understand, take her away and execute memory wipe procedure. And ordered his men to erase our memories. The protagonist should have aberrated at this time. But nothing happened. Frigg is here to catch the protagonist. In the game's internal test plot, Frigg threw us directly near the Astra shelter. But in the plot after the game's public test, TOF had one more setting that the protagonist has been missing for half a year. The protagonist's next awakening is already in front of Zeke and Shirley. It was half a year after we were captured by Frigg. What on earth have we been doing these 6 months? Who are we with? Your suppressor energy had run out and we had to take you back to the shelter for emergency treatment. Shirley says our suppressor has run out of power. It's very serious that the suppressor ran out of energy. And there must be no way that suppressor ran out of energy and we were saved at the same time. Why didn't we aberrate? Whether it's in a ruin or being rescued, the suppressors were all in a useless state. There are 2 guesses. First kind, the protagonist gained immunity after genetic modification by Hykros. The second kind, the protagonist gained immunity through the transformation of the heirs of Ida. At present, both of these guesses are possible. If it's the former, it shows that the purpose of the Sage is the protagonist from the very beginning. The test in the ruin is also to obtain the ability data of the protagonist. If it's the latter, it shows that the goal of the Sage is only the executor of Hykros. And then, on the basis of Hykros' genetic modification, then carry on the living metal transformation. Zeke is a little skeptical about where the protagonist comes from. But Shirley is not so thoughtful. She are still young. And then she did pay the price. Here are some official cartoon materials. These materials come from the official Chinese website of Tower of Fantasy, used to supplement characters and worldview settings. You can see it in the cartoon. Zeke dotes on Shirley very much. Let's take a look at Zeke's settings first. Cold fish. Care for his sister much. Zeke is a man who has been praised by the divinity. What is a divine descendant? You can take a look at my series of TOF Epic. They've been genetically modified. Immune to omnium radiation. Were survivors of the Yuan Wang spacecraft. Is also the initiator of the Tower of Fantasy. It's up to the game's plot writers to refine the story layer. You can take a screenshot of the following information. Sapek continues to put on practical information. Shirley is good at making wicked cuisine. But this is because she had a miserable experience with her brother Zeke. After the death of his parents, Zeke left the heirs of Ida with his young sister. Before coming to Astra, both of them live in a state of destitution and lack of food. Whether it's Hykros, which their parents betrayed, or the heirs of Ida, which their parents work for, Zeke doesn't trust neither. In his eyes, they are all the culprits who took away their parents. There are also settings of Zeke's parents on the official website. His father, Hank, used to be a senior member of Hykros, who holds the key to the Omnium Tower. After his undercover identity was discovered by Hykros, he chose to kill himself. At this time, the young brother and sister witnessed the death of their father. with their own eyes. Then her mother, Tia, also died for love. But as parents, they are not qualified. Just left the brother and sister behind. And never thought about whether the two could survive in the future. Zeke's heart has never forgiven his parents. And because of this, he swore that he would pay anything for Shirley. For the rest of his life, Zeke was a father, a mother, and a brother to Shirley. He knits clothes for his sister. He shielded his sister from the wind and rain. Shirley is the whole meaning of his life. For Shirley, he can betray the world. Alright, after understanding the settings of the Zeke brothers and sisters, let's continue to analyze the plot. The hint has laid the groundwork for the follow-up. Why does the protagonist feel inexplicably uneasy? Even though the protagonist has no memory now. But she have a hunch about what's going to happen next. If the protagonist is not born with superpowers, that means the protagonist knows what happened after that. Before amnesia, the protagonist is also the one who knows the plan. It is likely that the protagonist spent the missing 6 months working for the heirs of Ida. This is also supported by evidence in the follow-up plot. Know through Shirley's introduction. The Astra shelter is built around the wreckage of the ship. The predecessor of Astra was the holiday island of the old Confederation. Used to be an amusement park for the rich. Can be compared to the real island of Hawaii. But after the cataclysm, men's footprints are rare. And it's for this reason. Zeikatzai and his sister live in seclusion here. Stay away from the double interruptions of Hykros and the heirs of Ida. But he didn't expect that the sage had already targeted Shirley. I even suspect that Shirley is the subject of the Angle of Clemency project. And she's even an embryo experiment body. The next thing we see is Celine, the quartermaster of the shelter. Celine is also a special presence in the shelter. As one of the few combat forces in the shelter, Celine is specially responsible for playing the bad cop. She is strict but not rigid. Treat newcomers with good rules. The shelter does not support idle people. If you go through the box in front of her, will be strictly stopped by her orders. It is also a portrayal of its setting. Celine and Zeke are good partners. This also led to a romantic affair between the two. But Zeke's mind is only on his sister. Have no intention to fall in love. Judging from the follow-up plot, Celine just appreciates and approves Zeke more rather than carrying other thought. This affair is not meant to be true. After the public test, Celine is not as good as the internal test in shaping her character. Players can hardly feel the personality characteristics of Celine in the conversation. Can only have the image of a gentle big sister to her. After saying goodbye to Celine, we came to the central control room. Compared with the public test, the NPC here has added dialogue. No one knows where the things in the ruins came from. But as long as it works, it's okay. It seems that the space-time engine probably came from the same way. As long as you can use it, the principle doesn't matter. This can be experienced more deeply in the Meroria. Levitation depends on the gravitational field of the confounding abyss. But if you want to ask the principle, in Vera probably no one can have a clear explanation. The shelter also has an official definition. A shelter is a place of refuge. It's not a loving family. There may be good guys and bad guys in there. Everyone is helping each other and getting what she need. This also paves the way for the rest of the plot. The ruins were not built by Hykros. Specifically, you can take a look at the analysis of our series of TOF epic. It can also be regarded as proving the existence of indigenous civilization. The person introduced below is a bit strong. The real head of the shelter, Uncle Palu. Why did I say he was the real leader? Now Zeke has been missing for a long time. And the shelter is still operating normally. Even if the heirs of Ida incident happens later, you will find that Palu has always been the most active. His position in the shelter is no less than that of Zeke. But a sad thing happened to him. His lover was executed by his own hand. Because of her aberration. And because of this, let Palu never recover. Drink and paralyze himself all day. Until a side mission we took makes him realize his cowardice. He then began to work hard to be strong. Re-shouldered the important task of revitalizing the shelter. But in fact, most of the attacks on Astra shelter were aimed at Shirley. You'll find that since Shirley and Zeke left, the shelter has hardly been attacked. Is this lucky or unfortunate? We are commissioned to collect data. In the process of collection, actually, you can come down and have a look. But officials are afraid that the players will get lost. Cancel this setting. So the dialogue here is a bit disjointed. After helping Palu, we followed Shirley to the bar. Met little sister Fanny, who is the best cook. At the beginning of the public test, Fanny's image is very bright. But later the set became more conservative and aggressive. It's a pity. Fanny and Shirley are about the same age, but more mature. She had been mixing Shirley's favorite orange soda since Shirley left. It's also a pity. She also led to our next mission. The space rift is broken, so there is the later Shirley repair incident. You can learn from the conversation with Drizzt here. He doesn't like Zeke. That's right. This is the man who shouted the loudest in the plot. And he wants to go after Fanny? I was the first to object. You can also learn some of their views by talking to other NPC. It is worth noting that Grandma Lisa once appeared in official cartoons. It can be considered that the settings of the two sides match. Everyone's attitude towards suppressors is a little uncomfortable. You have to rely on it to protect yourself. And you have to worry about whether it will break. It's a really crazy feeling. Going out means an increased chance of damaging the suppressor. No wonder so many people choose to muddle through a shelter. Then there is the technology of space rift. Reassemble after decomposition and transition. The amazing thing is that the mind can remain the same. As the protagonist asked. Are you still your original self after transmission? After Shirley repaired the space rift, she was transmitted to the beach in Banjas. It is also confirmed in the simulacrum story of Shirley's special skin. But the strange thing is, where did the monitors come from? At present, where we can see the monitors in the game, is only the Rose Garden of the Hyenas. Why are the monitors on the beach? Before we could react, Mie was the first to transmit a new weapon to us, Combat Blade. It can be seen that little cute Mie also has a combat assistance function. After the battle, we learned that there was something wrong with the positioning system. It leads to the existence of Franz. He was sent by Hykros to investigate the chrono chamber. But Hykros didn't tell him the details. So later you will find that Franz is surprised by the chrono chamber. It is only when he arrives at Hykros that he complains. Hykros doesn't tell him anything. Just wants him to work for them. By the way, the Franz setting of the internal test is a mercenary. He doesn't belong to the forces of Hykros. He was employed by Hykros. The two sides has a cooperative relationship. In public testing, it seems that this relationship is still valid. So Franz is not a member of the Hykros organization. Used to work in Hykros. But now he is free. This can also be illustrated in the conversation with Dr. Claire. Franz's conversation has been changed. During the internal test, because it is taught to follow us. There was a problem with the space rift at this time, but no one left a warning. So Franz was shocked to hear that Fanny was going shopping. He hurried back to repair the space rift. After the public test, who follow us changed to the cute little Mie. She volunteered to stay and remind everyone. So Franz's side of the plot switched to repairing space rift so that Fanny could buy ingredients as soon as possible. Tower of Fantasy still attaches great importance to the logic of the plot. There are indeed a lot of factors they considered. Mia is indeed much better than Tada. She take the initiative to stay and take care of the broken down space rift. This is much better than Tada, who only knows how to eat grilled fish. Shirley, after Franz left, she proposed to repair the deconstruction machine. Do many people think Shirley is too naughty? But did it ever occur to you? She repaired both the space rift and the deconstruction machine. Shirley is naughty. But her strength is real. Because Zeke dotes on his sister too much. Always overprotected her. He ignored Shirley's growth. And Franz saw it very clearly. Shirley's desire to help Zeke has always been strong. It also prompted her to make progress all the time. Whether it's theoretical knowledge or combat ability. Shirley has made progress after we came to the Omnium Tower. The Scrapper first sent a map as gift to us. The title Shirley's Friend is really useful. The Scrapper have their own independent mode of thinking. What's more, it applied for permission for us directly from the Hykros Armory. After killing the intruder, we also have access to the simulacrum system. What on earth is the simulacrum of the Tower of Fantasy? This problem is very confusing now. The earliest roll of weapons galore. The conversations with us are basically AI. Not a real person. It's not even the character we saw in the plot. But after 2.0, the dialogue began to favor the dialogue of the original character. If I want to explain the simulacrum system clearly, I need to make an individual analysis video. Now we just need to know that simulacrum is an encapsulation system. It can direct the character and fighting ability of the target character. Cover the executor. So that the executor has the ability of target character in the simulacrum. The protagonist's strength is not strong. But as long as the target character is strong, it means that the protagonist is powerful. This setting is the same as our play experience. I was supposed to finish analyzing the plot of the first day. After all, I am naive. The copywriter has been written for 4 hours. I'll have to look it up and check the online video while I'm at it. It seems that I can only talk about it in several sections. Or I can make videos at a lower frequency. Make a long video for more than 20 minutes. Do you like to watch shorter videos? Or a longer video? Now this series is a new series of me. Return to Assyria. In fact, Assyria's plot is not bad at all. But it needs to be strung together. What is the identity of the protagonist in Heirs of Ida? What is the purpose of President Collidor's artificial island layout? What is the secret deal between the mine manager Mr. Kim and the Heirs of Ida? Who is behind the Ravagers? 2F's copywriter is great. The logic and foreshadowing are there in the plot? That's all for this issue. Follow Xiaofeng. Take you to experience a different Tower of Fantasy.